Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Tonight, a little something different because it's all in the news feed. This balloon that was over the US. My older brother works in this industry, high altitude airships, and so I figured, you know what? I'm going to have a Zoom meeting with him, ask him a few of the logistics about the what, the where, the when, all that sort of stuff, and forget about the politics, more about what this thing's actually capable of and all that. And it's pretty cool insight. So hopefully you enjoy the conversation with my older brother, Sven. Other than that, if you like the content, please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. It really helps the channel out. So here we go, my conversation with Sven. All right, tonight we're doing something a little different because we're going to be diving into a little bit of current affairs. Obviously, a lot of people have come to realize that there was some sort of balloon floating over our country. It's been labeled as a spy plane, spy balloon from China, whatever, I don't know. Besides all of that, and we're going to set aside the politics, but I have brought in my older brother, Sven, big guest of the podcast and all that, who actually works in the sort of high altitude airship arena. And maybe, Sven, hopefully you can shed some light on this subject. How are you doing tonight, man? Thanks for coming on the show.
Doing great. Actually, I just got out of work. That's why when you texted me and you said that they had shot it down, I was actually quite surprised, that they actually did go and shoot it down. But
Well, I had heard reports that there were literally people shooting guns at it from ground level, and I think the thing was supposed to be, I don't know, 5 miles up or something.
technically, yeah, it was about 60,000 feet. So I mean, that might be a good excuse to shoot it down because when a bullet goes up, it comes down, and a bullet is not getting a handgun or a rifle bullet is not
Yeah.
getting that high. So it's probably, it could land in someone's neighborhood. I think there's a MythBusters on if a falling bullet could kill you, and I mean it could give you it could crack your noggin, but I doubt it'd kill you. But
Well, I guess, yeah, I guess for me, the first question is, okay, this thing is round, it's a balloon. What are the chances that something like that could be carrying a spy payload with it from halfway across the world to the United States?
well, actually, at work we were talking about the payload configuration that it had. That's got a pretty sizable payload. And but a lot of what you're seeing on that payload is solar panels because that type of balloon, it you're probably not going to put solar panels on the top of it, even though China is one of the largest solar panel array manufacturers in the world, probably the number one. And but every time with those particular vehicles, anytime you add a nickel, like a literally a nickel of weight, everyone goes into panic mode. So you're always trying to keep your weight down, and a structure that large would either have to be, it's probably made out of carbon fiber, and those solar arrays have to then go in and power a battery. So that battery is the most heaviest part besides recording equipment or communications equipment. And so the battery is just massive. And, in order to send signals back and forth, and in order to have comms back and forth, you have to have some pretty intense radios. Like, don't stand next to it, like when
Oh,
it's on.
wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. So like when we test stuff out, we don't. We perimeter the whole thing off because when those high gain antennas are on, like you might wind up with no children in 3 years. That type of
Well,
thing.
let me ask, I mean, because the airships that you guys are working on are more aerodynamic. They're meant to be able to be maneuverable. This thing just looked like a balloon. I
A
mean,
balloon.
do you think there was any sort of propulsion system behind it, or was it just basically
Now,
floating on the jet stream?
I think it's floating on the jet stream, but as you break the layers, as you start from sea level and work your way up to the xenosphere, there's all these different layers. You know, we operate in the stratosphere, and it's a pretty predictable place. Stratosphere is about 65,000. This thing was at 60,000, and
Yeah.
so you can predict. It's sort of like the Gulf Stream. So
Yeah. Okay.
if you were to drop your a message in a bottle when you're going through the Gulf Stream, you got a pretty good idea where it's going to end up. You know, a pretty good
Yeah.
idea.
I got it.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but it could end up in the Maldives. You don't know. You can't predict it. There could be a weather change. You know, I think this thing was just either a ocean. You know, maybe they were looking at the ocean. Maybe they were looking at some topographical stuff. Maybe they were trying to get temperatures of the water. Maybe measuring air quality. It could be a lot of things. It looks very scientific-y and not
Almost
science.
like a weather balloon, weather station sort of thing. Because we send those up all the time, don't we?
We do, but those are like, those are much smaller payloads, right? And those are just constantly recording. They've got a short life. That thing looked like it was supposed to be up for a while. It looked like it was supposed to be up for a long, long time. Um, but because of the way its payload was arranged, it really doesn't look nefarious. It looks like it was just something that was collecting data, maybe sending, transmitting, and receiving. I don't know. I mean, it was a big payload, but it in up there, a solar panel, oh my gosh, it generates quite a lot. You
Oh, I
know,
would. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's getting the brightest rays of
oh,
the sun, the most
oh,
powerful.
yeah. And so what they could have done is they could have skimped on the battery, right? And like made a smaller battery, had it for just little run times at night, and then during the day just be like either flooding data out, because I think they were probably thinking that they would get it back again, but now that's that's out of
Well,
the question.
that's out of the question now. Sorry about
Yeah,
that one, buddy. Welcome to
you know,
America.
you know, and they probably during the design phase of it, they probably knew that was a possibility, and why lose that data? And so it probably did have a transceiver on there that was sloughing off data. But like I said, those high gain antennas, they use a lot of juice. And so, maybe it was something that was only running during the day. Maybe it was something that was running from all during the day and then a little bit into the night. It's really
Interesting.
hard to tell. It's really hard to tell.
All right. Well, and I guess the last question that I would have would be, so they shoot this thing down. I don't know exactly where they've shot it down,
Probably
where
over
in
the
the
middle
United
of no,
States.
probably over the middle of nowhere, because there's a lot of
Hopefully.
liability. Yeah, well,
Well,
yeah,
that's what I was going to ask, because you guys have launched much larger ships into the sky,
yep.
and what sort of I guess what sort of outcome, like if for whatever reason they shoot this thing down and it drifts right into a populated area, what sort of damage can be sort of expected?
Well, if you had something really heavy falling from the sky at 60,000 feet, oh, it's going to do a lot of damage. Something heavy. It's just going to go 9.8 meters squared right into somebody's home. You
Oh,
know,
jeez.
all of our stuff is landed pretty gently, and it's just that they probably were presuming it was going to go into the water. That's my presumption. It's they what we do is, like, I'm here in New Mexico right now. We launched in an area that is pretty much wilderness, right?
Yeah, desert
And,
essentially.
yeah, and we've got a ton of PhDs on the payroll that research what the weather patterns are historically and to the minute, to see where's the potential flight pattern of this vehicle that we're going to launch. And we won't launch unless it's favorable. We just won't do it. It's called scrubbing the launch. you know, and I've seen like I've seen a lot more scrub than I've seen launch. Just put
Oh,
it
I'll
that
bet.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 times more. Yeah, hundreds of times more.
Well,
You know,
and this balloon though, it seemed to be more of the, you sort of set it off and launch it, and then we'll just see where it goes. Which
yeah,
I don't know. In my mind, it doesn't seem like you were saying, it doesn't seem like a nefarious thing because you don't actually know where the heck it's going to go. It just didn't
no,
seem like anything that was going to have its own propulsion system or anything like that, like the stuff that you guys do.
yeah, and it just it doesn't make sense that it'd be nefarious. You know, it just doesn't have the characteristics of an airline pilot saw it apparently and
Oh, that
reported
was the first sighting.
I believe so. So somebody at 35,000 feet probably saw it at 60, 65,000 feet, you know, but I'm sure the thing is massive. I
Yeah.
mean,
What do you think as far as size of this thing? I mean, it's
yeah,
hard to gauge, I guess, but ballpark maybe.
I don't know. Launching when you're launching a sphere, you know, the sphere is the best size for volume. So I mean, you know, I don't know. I mean, based on that array, God, it's got to be like maybe it's 30 meters in diameter.
So 100 feet.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow. Okay, that's way bigger than I thought. Holy smokes.
maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, it's true. It is all maybe. I mean, this is all speculation and just the hot topic of the moment. So that's why we're
Yeah,
talking about it.
yeah, exactly. You know, and you know, the material that was made out of, unsure about that, but I wouldn't put it by China to. I mean, they're a textiles giant. I mean, you know, they're stolen all of our secrets anyway. So
They've got the good stuff. Yes, they are intellectual property
IP thieves.
borrowers. Yeah, 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 to
IP
say the
thieves.
least. Well, okay, last question and then we're out of here. But if all of a sudden next Tuesday there's 17 more of them, they're floating over every major metropolis in America, should we be worried?
Um, no, not necessarily.
Nice.
Unfortunately, the payload is probably absolutely destroyed. Now, I'm sure some FAA guys and some, you know, payload specialists could glean what this thing was originally used for, right? And it's probably smashed up pretty good,
Oh, right. Yeah, to be able to sort of,
sorted out. Yeah,
yeah.
and you know, unfortunately, the politicians would just use this as, you know, they'll say they're spying on our weather, but they'll leave out the weather part.
Yeah, they're just fine. Well, we're not getting into the
Okay,
politics.
we don't
We're
have to
just
get into that.
talking
We
the
don't have to get into
actual
it.
facts. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
but
Well,
you actually made a good point though, Trump. What if we see 17 of these?
yeah,
Okay, because here's the deal: helium is a finite thing. Okay, it's only produced by the decay of uranium and thorium here in on the Earth. So it gets trapped in rock, and so if you use it all up, you gotta wait a real long time to get some more. Here in the United States, there's a large mass of helium that is ruled over by the government. Okay,
mm,
so China having all of its, you know, all of its, all the stuff in the ground that it has, all the cobalts and all the shit it needs to make the batteries. I'm sure that the natural resources in China could be huge. So someone might have stuck a pipe in the ground and just come out talking like Mickey Mouse, and all of a sudden they have a mass amount of helium. It very well could be, you know, and in China, you could be like, okay, we found a shit ton of helium because it's very expensive to fill up those volumes with helium. And so China's government could just be like, guess what? We're not doing Macy Days parades anymore. No more birthday balloons. The government owns all the helium, you know. And if that's the case, they could be launching and launching and launching and launching these types of things. You know, it is a finite resource, and if they just tapped in some big gas bubble underneath the earth of helium, they might have a massive resource on their hands. That's the question I haven't heard asked, because like I said, it's a finite thing. And as soon as you release helium on
It's
Earth, it
gone.
goes,
Yeah.
it's either going to Saturn, Jupiter, or the sun. The only
Yeah.
things large enough to have the gravity to match that escape velocity. And so I haven't heard that question to be asked. They could be sitting on a pile of helium. And as these high altitude, this HAPS stuff, this high altitude platform stations starts becoming a thing, who knows? They could have one of the biggest resources and one of the most important parts of having a high altitude platform station, which is the helium.
Which is the helium. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's essentially the fuel that sort of supplies the ability to do it.
because
Wow.
the closest you can get to working with helium, a helium hydrogen mix, I believe last time someone told me it was like a 14% mix, 14% hydrogen. That's
And
safe.
is that oh, that's safe. Yeah, because then you're getting to Hindenburg
Hindenburg,
territory.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
exactly.
All right.
So
Well, holy cow, man. That's interesting. That's a whole different aspect to the, I guess, the whole discussion about the
yeah,
this
like I
whole
said,
subject, really.
so the helium trucks that we have to be moved by a government vehicle,
Oh,
and
really?
they have,
It's that regulated.
yeah, not the party balloon stuff, not the
Yeah.
Macy's Day. No, I guarantee you, the Macy's Day Parade, those are filled up by government trucks.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah, that's a huge amount. Yeah.
It's a
Because we
it's a
can't,
finite.
can we actually it's not like nitrogen. We can't actually make our
Nope,
own.
nope.
It all has to come out of the rocks.
Yeah, it has to all come out of the rocks. If you put helium, and helium does not want to be here. Helium's number one goal is to not be on Earth.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, but no, but we're talking. It's even deeper than that. So let's say you take, like, it looks like an acetylene tank, right? Those tall tanks, those tall
Yeah.
skinny tanks that you see on the back of trucks and stuff like that. Let's say you put some helium in it, fill one with helium, come back in a couple of years. I don't know, unless it's specially lined. I don't think there's going to be any helium in there anymore.
Oh wow, it's like an escapee. Holy cow!
Yeah,
It just
they'll go
won't
right
get
through the
out.
metal, yeah, or something like that. I don't quote me on that. I don't know that duration, but it will be empty eventually.
Wow, that's interesting. Holy
Yeah,
smokes!
that's why we have to store it like underground, unless you're going to use it in a time frame
Right,
that
right.
makes sense to put it in a.
And we just use it for blowing up balloons. That's so crazy. Holy smokes!
That's the thing. I mean, that's the question, because China could just be like, okay, the government owns all the helium, and then they
Got a
could.
lot of it. Let's do
That's the
it.
difference. That's the difference between launching hundreds of these things and 1,000 of these things. That's a
Right,
large
right.
volume. That's a large volume.
No,
Think of
it's true.
think of 30, 40, 50-meter sphere. It's a lot. That's a lot of he.
Yeah, that's a lot of those little CO2 cartridges, except filled with
Yeah.
helium. Well, let's hope that it was just a weather or scientific satellite. It's no big deal. It just wandered off course. But Sven,
Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming in and just shedding a little bit of light into this mystery. Hopefully, people will share this around and maybe not be so afraid of it, and also just have a little bit of knowledge about the old high altitude balloons.
Yeah, the HAPS. I'll reiterate it one more time. It doesn't really look nefarious to me. And if you're going to try to do spying with a freaking balloon, it's a pretty silly way to do it.
Good luck. Good
They
luck with
have
that.
they do have these things called satellites. And they have these really good cameras on them, and I think China's launched a bunch up there too. I don't a balloon.
Yeah, I think we got quite a few up there. All right, Sven.
They're going to say surveillance. They're going to say surveillance, and they're going to leave out the weather part.
Gotcha. All right, Sven, thank you so much for coming in. I look forward to our next discussion about sales and all that sort of stuff. But
Yep.
thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. And Really enjoyed it. You're a heck of a guy for doing it. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Let's get it out there.
All right.